And because we're not paying for the CO2 capacity of the oceans and atmosphere, we have what in economics is called an unpriced externality. So the market is unable to respond to an unpriced externality. If we just put a price on it, the market will react in a sensible way. But because we don't have a price on it, it's behaving badly.
So theoretically, how would you put a price on that? Like, would you look at various industries and how they contribute to the CO2?
Yeah, I mean, just put it at the point of consumption.
And tax it.
It ends up being, electricity and gasoline, pretty much. Now, you could make this a non-regressive tax. You could say, like, okay, well, what if somebody's, like, driving around a lot and they're low income? It's like, hey, great, give them a rebate. So it's like, hey, give a tax rebate. That's the way to do it.
And then the market would be forced to respond to the fact that
the market just does things automatically based on pricing.
Mm-hmm.
So markets work great if the pricing is correct. It's only when something, you have a tragedy of the commons and the price is not there that the market does not respond, nor would you expect it to. So if you have like the public toilets problem where it's like nobody's responsible for it, nobody's paying for it, it's like, okay, well, public toilets are not good. So as soon as you put a price on it, the right thing will happen automatically. So,
is there been a response to this? Like, is this something
I talked to the Biden administration, incoming administration, and they were like, well, this seems too politically difficult. And I was like, well, but this is obviously a thing that should happen. And by the way, SpaceX would be paying a carbon tax too.
Sure.
So I'm like, I think we should pay it too. It's not like we shouldn't have carbon generating things. It just should be a price on this stuff.
And that would encourage people to make either carbon
It will
neutral
automatically fix the problem.
Mm.
For sure. Just thinking about like taxes. It's like, here we are drinking alcohol. Now taxes on alcohol and tobacco are higher than on, let's say, fruit and vegetables. Okay, because everyone knows like fruit and vegetables are good for you, and alcohol and tobacco are not good for you.
Vice.
Yeah. So we're like, yeah, you should probably bias the taxes towards alcohol and tobacco, have higher taxes on alcohol and tobacco, and lower taxes on fruits and vegetables. Yeah, it's just sensible. Like, same thing goes for energy.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, that seems very reasonable. I don't understand how that would be politically difficult.
I don't know. I talked to the incoming Biden administration. I was like, I thought, well, for sure, like this, it's like half the reason they got elected.
And even some sort of an incremental increase over time.
Yeah, exactly. We don't need to
warn people.
Yeah, say if you just say it's coming, people will automatically make the changes.
That seems so reasonable.
Yeah, I agree.
And they were like,
They thought it was like too politically difficult. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I think that's like at least half the reason you got elected. So why don't you just fight for that?
Yeah, it's a factor. It's the optics were that they're the more reasonable people. They're going to bring us back to the Paris Climate Accord and the whole.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like the Paris Accord. This is just a piece of paper unless you do something about it.
Right.
I mean, frankly, it's not like the Paris Accord is. It's pretty much toothless, And even if we did that thing, it's like probably still not enough. It's just one thing that will matter. Put a price on carbon.
That would be the best option.
For sure.
Mm. That seems like it'd be such a good idea.
I mean, I think it's the obvious move. And if you just call up like, say like top economists, like just do a poll of like what do 90% of economists think, and like they all agree. Okay, we should do that.
Well, also if you think about the variability of gas prices. It changes so much. Like, how about the difference between gas in California versus gas in Texas? It's a giant difference.
It's a giant difference.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm actually not in favor of like demonizing the oil and gas industry, because like we can't like stop instantaneously and not have oil and gas.
Right.
Like we'll like die of starvation basically.
Right.
So
that's always the argument against it, right? We need fossil fuels, and this is sort of the short-sighted argument.
we're going to need to burn fossil fuels for a long time. The question is just at what rate do we move to a sustainable energy future? So I think we should probably move there faster than slower, but it's, but I mean, the current approach is basically just to demonize oil and gas. And I'm like, okay, well, obviously, there are people who spent their whole career in oil and gas, and they started out in their career when it didn't seem like that bad of a thing to do.
Right.
So then they're like, hey man, I just spent my whole career working hard to do useful things, and now you're telling me I'm the devil. I mean, that's like gonna make them pretty upset, So I say, like, instead of demonizing oil and gas, which also they should stop lobbying against the carbon tax, by the way, then just like, honestly, the smartest thing the oil and gas industry could do would say, let's do a carbon tax. And then we'll just do a carbon tax and make us not the devil.
Make us not the devil, and they'll still make a fuckload of money.
Still be fine. They'll be fine. Yeah.
That seems so reasonable. I can't imagine how anybody would argue against that.
That's what I thought, man. I don't know. I think the Biden administration should take a strong stance on this situation.
What political candidates endorsed a carbon tax? Did Bernie Sanders endorse a carbon tax?
I don't know. He might have.
It seems super reasonable.
I mean, I kind of like, even though he's a communist, I kind of like Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, I like him too.
Yeah.
I think he means well.
Yeah, I think he means well.
The best part about him. And he's been remarkably consistent in meaning well his whole life. And they kept fucking throwing him right under the bus.
Yeah, absolutely.
2 election cycles in a row.
Yeah, I think it is hilarious that he went to the Soviet Union 3 days after his wedding for 10 days. And he was a mayor of a city, and he was a mayor in Vermont. And I'm like, yo, dude, how do you explain days 6 through 10?
Don't you get it?